What's up, everybody? My name is Tadean, and today I'm super duper excited to be sitting here with the amazing, remarkable, talented movers and shakers, the Kellys. Brittany, Michael, how are you feeling?
Good morning.
Good.
Good.
Great. Got some coffee.
Yeah, we're making it
Doing
happen. Start off the day. So this segment, or what we're going to be doing today, is really just take a deeper dive into who the Kellys are in front of work and behind work as well. So in front of this camera and behind. So I'm super excited to jump in. So when I think about you two, I think the perfect place to jump in is to think of how I describe both of you. So Brittany,
I'm scared.
I'd say in 3 words, you are optimistic, strategic, and thorough.
Thank you.
Thorough. Michael.
You cute.
Blank.
Yeah. Cute, comical, fun, and I would probably have to say compassionate. I think there's always compassion in what you do.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and I think that shines through. So I'm excited and grateful to do this segment with you all today. I've had the pleasure to know y'all for maybe 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just been great to getting to know Michael through the Education Foundation, and then Brittany through community and just all your work as well. So for those who are watching this segment, from the wine shop to the school to the
Spa.
to interior design to real estate, now to the mercantile, right? I mean, you all are movers and shakers. What was the first business?
The spa.
Yeah, you on your as a massage therapist on your own.
Yeah. So were we together at this point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we met in Charlotte 17 years ago,
Okay.
and I was in massage therapy school during that time, and moved. I got a job in Rock Hill. My family owned Nishy G's, so
Okay.
I was working in Nishy G's.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was driving to and from
Yeah.
Charlotte. He lived below me, kind of in Phillips Place area when I lived up there. In the apartments in Phillips Place, he worked at a store, and we just hit it off. And the next thing we know, I was getting him a job at Sheridan Alive down here in Rock Hill. And then the very next thing, we were opening
Yeah.
a spa.
We were here.
We were here.
And
She
that
was
was-
back. She was
Making
back.
babies and building businesses.
I like it. That's the tagline.
Making babies and building businesses. Literally
I like
doing
that.
payroll in the
Yeah.
hospital bed after having Lola's.
Yeah.
An hour
Yeah.
later.
That's the hashtag. But what has this journey been, right? So when we talk about going from interior design to this, to that, to the spa, to the wine shop, now to the mercantile, what does all of this mean for you?
I think for both of us, a lot of people have no idea, but Michael went to interior design school. That's what he went to school for. I didn't. Now my grandmother was an interior designer, and my mom, they had a gift store here in town, and I was raised in that industry, and he was raised kind of in the retail industry as well. And I think for us, it was a journey of finding what we loved. You know, I just longed for that job that wasn't a job, you know, and to make that difference and to love what we were doing. And we've always both just loved design, loved retail, new products, and people. And so this journey for us was, I feel like the wine bar, well, it started out as Loft 13, which was a store. And I think that it was just to be able to get to know people. It was very up and coming in 2006. Unfortunately, it was one of those businesses that went through the 2008 crash. But the people we met through that are still our friends today and are still our same customers. Same for the spa, you know, just getting to know those people. They are still the customers that come into the mercantile today. So while there were so many failures throughout that journey, every single thing was a lesson. And we just kept, I felt like, weaving our web until the mercantile just became, we call it our ADD explosion, because it's everything we wanted in one little place. That's why a lot of people don't know it, but in the mercantile and the E of that loop, it says HQ for headquarters, because it's like our headquarters for chaos and all of our ideas. And I mean, at first when we got it, it was a 5,000 square foot building. We were like, what could we possibly fill this place with? And now we're like, we need more space.
Yeah.
So I think we finally have been able to take those failures and turn them into something really great.
You know, I love that. I love that. And I when you talk about the word failure, I really think it was all about positioning.
Yeah.
Like all of those things made you show up in the mercantile of this experience a little bit stronger. And I want to go back a step, back to the interior design. I assumed that you were the interior design kind of lead on that. Did not know that you actually went to school for that. What's that story?
Yeah, that's me. Oh, I started off, I have an art and design background, so I started off up in Portland, Maine, at the Maine College of Art for a few years, and then took some time off and finished up in Chicago at Harrington School of Interior Design, which is no longer around anymore, they're gone, but I lived in Chicago for a year. That was awesome to see all that firsthand and just see it was amazing. But yeah, it was one of those things, like, learned a ton of information, and it kind of played out, but nothing really happened with it. But it's now looking down the line, this is where we're at. It's still all part of it. So
Absolutely.
I'm using it.
And his mom, his mom now works for us. We got her finally here from Texas, but I think she played a huge role in that with you. Being so, she's extremely artistic and talented. She's an amazing painter, but she was in the furniture world for a very long time, and to this day, you go to her house and it's just books of architectural books and design books. So it's really great. And same with my family. I mean, totally different design styles, but I mean, my parents or my grandmother and my mom decorated houses for people for the past 40 years.
And it's interesting how you all took that beyond the house and created a business or a building that we can all be a part of. Right? And I wrote down what you said. I love what you said. It was about design, products, and people. And the mercantile kind of created like the best way to intersect all three. But I want to hone in on those second two, products and people. There are plenty of retail stores, right? There aren't any that I've been wanting to go to every single day. And I'm sure everyone watching goes to the mercantile frequently as well. There's this need to see, is there anything new today? Let me just stop by, or just to say, hey, I want to speak, right? And you don't always see that from a business standpoint nor community. So in terms of like a business development plan, how important is that community piece for the mercantile?
It's the soul piece.
Yeah,
it is. When we started the mercantile, it was a product of a low spot in our life. We had just come out of election time. We had just come off of a path of, if there could be 30 hours in a day, it felt like 30-hour work days sitting right here in this room. This is campaign headquarters. And from people I'd never met from all over the country here helping us run a congressional campaign. And I was so depressed. I mean, we lost everything that year, I felt like. And I just needed something that was tangible, that I could see success happening, or I could see an outcome happening. And for both of us, even, it was like, what can we do? And one of those things at the time, I was on the ELP board, the Early Learning Partnership Board, which our goal is to get books in every kid's hands that we can. And so from that, just formulated an idea it was all about community. I can't make a difference in Washington, but I can absolutely do it right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And so we started reading to kids in school and just tried to get them on reading level by the 3rd grade. We started doing book drives and just all these little things. We had a group formed called Rock Hill Rising that was just simply about making an impact for the better in Rock Hill. And when we got the space, Michael and I actually, the funny story of that space is we had been trying to buy that for several years, the whole thing. It happened the way it was supposed to happen, because thank goodness for Gary Williams and David, because we would never have been able to upfit that building for what it needed. So it really worked out perfect that it happened that way, but we'd had our sights on that for quite some time, that would be the spot to just take over the community.
It was always one of those things too, especially with closing the other businesses and our ups and downs that we've had, it sits back there. You know, it was one of those things like, yeah, it was a ton of work, and it was a lot to do, but I miss having it. I miss doing that kind of stuff, and it slowly culminated into what it is today.
Yeah.
So with community at the forefront, we were like, okay, we've got 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It doesn't just need to be, it was going to be an interior design studio where I could house and have stuff delivered, because for so long sinks and toilets were being delivered to my front porch for clients. So I was like, this will be a great hub for it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do this and we could do this. And next thing you know, the design portion was this little tiny corner in the back, which no longer even exists. So we were able, from day one, we knew that portions of our proceeds would go, we picked our foundations out that we wanted to be able to provide for, and the community help we wanted to do. And to this day, you know, people come in all the time asking for donations. While we'll give some, I think it's really important for people to know, like, that was part of our business plan. You know, making $30 and $50 donations here and there to different causes, we'll never really be able to be successful. I would imagine we get probably 2 or 3 requests a day. And I just wanted it to be part of our business plan that these are the foundations we constantly organize. This is what the constant change we're trying to make here. And our money goes toward those things.
Yeah. That's really cool. And I think, especially for those who may be watching who know of Mercantile and who visit, that you live that out, right? Whether it is through donation or an actual event or initiative that you all create. So since we're on that topic, we just had our what anniversary? Second anniversary. What, last month?
Black Friday, yeah.
Black Friday. So just a few weeks ago. So here we are, kind of full swing, 2 years in. For each of you personally, we can both answer. What has been the most significant part of this journey and concerns of the Mercantile for each of you?
You want to start, or you want me to?
Sure. You know, definitely the concerns, especially from what happened last time when we opened up the business, and of course that was just poor timing, and with the housing crisis that happened and everything bottoming out. So, but you know, there's always that sitting back there like, hey, are we going to do this again? Because anytime we do something, we're doing it full force, and we want to take it from this level to this level, and but it was just something that was in our gut that was telling us, it was like, we got to do this. And then on top of that, it's making a difference too. Like she was saying, she's on the ELP board, I'm on the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation. You know, we're here for the kids, the teachers, the support. This is what makes the whole community go round. And you know, yes, I would love for us to be super successful and continuing all that, but we're only successful as everything that's going on in the community right now.
I love
so we really just, you know, you got to take care of where you're at and what's going on. And as a side note, you know, that's what I saw this year when the community fridge happened, when everything happened. COVID's awful and has really screwed everything up royally, but what I can say is I saw a genuine giving from the community of Rock Hill and the support, and I'm seeing that in the store as well too. They keep coming back, they want to help out, they want to do more, and they want to see this keep growing in this area to go. So that's the biggest thing from this year. I mean, there's been a lot of negative with everything that's going on, but the fact that we can see that people are standing up and just giving back, helping out, reaching out, doing all that means more than anything.
You're all in my notes, man. You're all in my notes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to that even more as well. But Brittany, over the past 2 years, significance for you?
It has been obviously a labor of love. The significance for me would be that I feel like we're finally where we had hoped. Actually, we're beyond. We're beyond what I ever imagined the Mercantile could be.
One more time.
We're beyond what I had ever hoped the Mercantile could be. And we are already going so much further. I'm so excited for January. Like, it kind of brings tears to my eyes.
Just now.
Yeah, because it's been a labor of love. I mean, it is every single day. I mean, we don't get
We were up till 2 last night.
Yeah, we don't get days off. And if we are off, we're still working. You know, we're at home. Yeah, we sit in bed till 2 a.m. What do you think about this? Should we get this? I don't know. Look at this design. What about this idea? Which even the girls at work and Michael know, like, I'll go, I have an idea. They're like, oh God, Brittany, what? And we just had that moment last night, and I'm really excited for what's to come to the Mercantile. But anyway, it's beyond, and it's so fulfilling to see it finally come. You know, I think my whole life I've always wanted to prove people wrong. I told you the other day, I have a tattoo that says, where there's a will, there's a way. And I've always just tried to achieve even higher. And sure, you're going to have hiccups, but for the most part, if I set my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And I feel sorry for my parents because they're like, oh my God, here we go, Brittany, what now? And you. But
Parents don't live here.
no, I'm saying from the time I was a little kid, like when I was like, I'm gonna graduate high school early. They're like, no, you're not. What are you doing? Okay, here we go. She's doing it. And then I moved.
What,
here.
2.5 years? You finished high school?
I graduated in the 11th grade, and then I moved to Charlotte by myself at 17. So there, you know, it's crazy, and I didn't go to college.
No.
I think that's something that a lot of people are like, wait, what? But I knew what I wanted to do, and this is the path that I wanted to choose. And in fact, I've only worked for one employer my whole life.
Let's talk about that. You said I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But if we go down the list of things you've done, it seemed like you wouldn't, right?
Right.
But that means that it's something deeper that you wanted to do.
Right.
Beyond the title.
So,
what is that?
I lived in Atlanta in the 6th grade. I did like a job shadow and we had to do career day, and I wanted to be a massage therapist. I wanted to be a doctor, but I knew that I did not want to go to school to be a doctor. I always knew I wanted to help people. That was all I wanted to do, was help people, but I didn't want to be a nurse or a doctor. Like, I just needed that relaxing therapeutic style of help. So I was a massage therapist for 13 years. It was a huge part of my life, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I love the people and being able to help. But it was always stuff on the side I was doing. You know, like I can remember Hurricane Katrina coming through and doing a drive for that. I remember the one up in off New York, wherever that was. Which one was that?
That.
Sandy, maybe?
Yeah, they got all.
You know, like I was always in the background doing little things. And then me and 2 girlfriends started Rock Hill Rising after the election, and then it really just kicked into high gear, and every little bit of that, just those facets led me through campaign and politics, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So.
And meeting amazing people through that too.
Oh my God, the people we've met just in the past 4 years alone, and all over the country. I mean, we just were visited, I think you might have been at the store the other day, but our girlfriend from Washington that helped us with the campaign just drove down from the day to say hey and give us some Hanukkah gifts. And I mean, just those relationships, they're amazing.
Yeah, but I think it speaks back to that why that you had, which was helping people.
Yeah.
And I want to reflect on year 2 of this journey of Mercantile so far. Number 1, we had COVID, right? So not only are you managing, number 1, keeping alive a business during COVID, but you're managing a business during COVID, keeping all of your employees. Hiring more. Then hosting multiple community initiatives throughout that same year, right? So if we reflect on 2020 for the Mercantile, and I'm going to try to do it in order here. We had the drag event first, right? Then we went to the Mural, the Black Lives Matter, No Room for Racism, all of that in, what was that, July, August sometime?
I think so.
Then we went to the community fridge, 2 months later, to try to feed those in our community who needed an extra meal. And I love how we didn't put this label on, you had to be homeless to be here, or this or that, right? It's open 24 hours at your convenience and your level of vulnerability that you're willing to share that I actually need this help with. And to watch community members come out and constantly pour into that fridge, to now even having Merc Empower, which is where Black female entrepreneurs can have space within your shop, right? Along with training and skills and resources to scale up their business.
For free.
All during a pandemic. What is all of that? What is all of this social impact, the desire to create something that's not only bigger, but better than yourself. Where does that come from?
It's just a
Passion.
yeah. It's you have to. You can't just you got to live in your community, but you got to be a part of your community
And it's a community for all.
If we're gonna get down to brass tacks, it's the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. Take care of other people.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's not a religious thing. It's not a not a spiritual. It's just the right thing to do. And
for me, it's always been so at the store we try to do like a word of the year. I mean, it's more so just been an internal thing that we've had, but this year going into it, we'll make it a much bigger thing where we get employees involved and make it more known. But this year for me was community, diversity, really communication. And I think it's so important that we start the conversation of normalizing things like drag queens, normalizing sexual identity and race and religion and, equality, hunger, probably, I think there's just, I was raised in an extremely conservative home. Extreme. We didn't talk about this stuff. We didn't, now, my family was amazing and kind, and we went to church, and our church did things for the community, but nothing, I can't ever really remember as a kid. We definitely never protested, we definitely never marched, we definitely never really did things outside of the box to help communities. I mean, and in fact, because it was such a religious family, we didn't really gays per se, or were not accepted when I was young, or that lifestyle wasn't an accepted lifestyle. So I am kind of the black sheep of my family, and even to this day, my parents are like, well, you chill out just a little bit. But I think they know there's no calming me down at this point. But even for them, truthfully, they're always at the back of every decision I make and how I was raised. And I could sit here and quote scripture to you. I'm not a religious person now, but I was raised that way. And so for every little thing, I have a rebuttal almost. And I just want to normalize and make it acceptable. Let's have this conversation. Why are you, not accepting of, the queer society? Why are you not accepting of certain other religions? Sometimes I felt like the church we went to was kind of like our religion's the only religion that's going to make it to heaven. But then so many questions. I'm just an inquirer. I love to research, and just so much stuff pops up. So I just like to have conversations, and you've been around me many a times where I'll just start asking people random questions because I genuinely want to know.
Absolutely.
I can remember you and Adam one day sitting here having a conversation, and it's just I want to know. Let's start this conversation. And it might be a little weird at first, but eventually, I try to make it as comfortable as possible and as understanding. And I come from a place of love. I'm not going to sit here and bash your opinion and I genuinely want to hear. Yeah. And I even had to make that difference on Facebook this year, because the last 4 years on Facebook were daunting, and I was part of the problem. I was. But this year I came at it from a place of love, and let's pose a question, but I want kind responses, and I just want us to think about this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the year for the Mercantile. We pushed a lot of buttons.
So let's quickly highlight those initiatives that we just talked about through 2020. Can you give us a quick rundown of what the Mercantile has done this past year?
Everything. So in January, we did a big Martin Luther King. We posted a huge board outside of the store of what do you love about your community, and it's really was to just get people starting to talk, and I wanted to see what they put, and it was lovely. I mean, I at first didn't think anybody would do it, but next thing you know, day after day, the board was so filled up there was no room, and it was an 8 foot. We still have it. We saved it. It was an 8 foot by 4 foot big sheet. Then from there, we went on and did some Valentine's events, but our biggest event to date probably was the anti-bullying drag show. And it was for children, pretty much led by children. The Ebenezer Avenue it wasn't their choir, but a group of kids all came out, which
was really cool.
First of all, it was so incredible that the parents even allowed the principal, Mr. Carell, and Miss Trott, the music director over there, the fact that they even entertained my crazy idea of, hey, can the kids come sing in a drag show, was just something I never thought in Rock Hill, South Carolina would happen. But then we had speakers from the school board there, you spoke, we had a coach speak, Adam Rainey, and
we had musicians play, we had everything. It was a heck of a...
Then we had community leaders. I mean, we asked men, business owners of our community.
Michael being one.
I shaved my legs.
To dress in drag and alongside a real drag queen and perform, and the kids in that audience. I mean, earlier that day we had a drag race, which was hilarious. Men came out in high heels and raced to raise money. And then at the end, just to see those kids just belting out Adele and Lizzo at the top of their lungs, and the drag queens coming through them and just hugging them. This was the week before COVID. So it was like our last hoorah.
Because we had, how many people came out to the event?
Over 500 people.
Over 500
And in fact, I can remember my landlord, he gave us permission to do the event, but then the very next day he was like, I think well, first of all, we trended on Twitter, and I think he was like, so I didn't know it was going to be that big. I was like, we didn't either. We weren't planning for it
in rural South Carolina.
Who would have thought?
Right, who would have thought?
And at that night, we had people coming up to us, we'd never met them, that just were bawling.
Mm-hmm.
And they just couldn't thank us enough because for the first time in their life, they felt they had a place in Rock Hill.
Right. It's about being seen, heard, and felt.
Mm-hmm.
And you provide space for that.
Yeah.
And you've done the same thing.
And the parents, I mean, my own mom came, which is huge.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, she was even touched. It's not her thing, but she was touched.
Yeah.
And you could see in the parents' eyes. I sat behind the stage the whole time, behind the curtain. It was just, I could see through it. And I was like, wow. Like, it was a moment. My heart did not quit swelling for about a month after that. And I just was so eager. I was looking for pictures and videos that people were taking because I didn't have any. And it was incredible. And then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then all at the same time, I mean, clearly Black Lives Matter has been going on, but, you know, it really picked up steam.
Yeah.
There was a surge, and we reached a point where we were, what in the world could we do? We have to do something. Like, of course, we went to the march, and
with Pastor Kirk at the, I think it was that the same.
It was a march, yeah. So, and I can remember that day vividly, walking across the street, and somebody stopped at the crosswalk to let a car go, and I was just like, why are we stopping? Like, if you don't make some sort of impact on every person's everyday life, what are we actually doing out here other than just to be able to be like, I participated in a march, I'm team Black Lives Matter, but we've got to do something. And so we came home and thought of some different ideas. Out of those came the Merc Empower program, and
talk about that.
Working with the city, clearly as many businesses as we've had, we've had the option to work with the city a lot, and you know, the city wants to be a friendly, I guess, transition through opening a business for entrepreneurs, but I've got to say it's hard. It's tough. And so my goal in life was, especially after, not in life, but after the 4 years, was to not see gentrification take place in downtown Rock Hill. We were coming in, and the last thing I wanted that neighborhood to feel like was, we're being gentrified here, and all these white businesses are going to take over, and we're going to have nothing anymore. They're just going to push us out. And I felt like, you know, I started looking at all the businesses on Main Street and downtown, and truly, the Black-owned business was completely Black, and women-owned Black-owned businesses at the time was completely Black. Because we were trying to form a list of Black-owned businesses to support. And I remember just being like, oh my God. You know, most of these are out of their house. or just a temporary location type thing. And it's not for lack of Black-owned businesses wanting to be down there. I think it was lack of that. They don't know the connections to make. And heck, I didn't either in the beginning, but still, there's absolutely not an equal playing field there. And so for the Merc & Power, we have this corner in the store that really wasn't being utilized. And I was like, okay, why couldn't we do, a quarterly program? We're really lax with it right now because it's all about truly getting them on their feet. And if they need a little bit more time, or somebody else needs a little more time to get going till it's perfect, that's kind of where we're at right now. So we still have our first Merc & Power Lady Aisha in there. And it's a free space for them to test out their idea. And through that, we help them with products, just getting costs down, looking at reports, trying to give ideas, toss ideas back and forth, but also for them to see what the retail world is like. I think some people think it's just this great, flexible thing, and it's not at all. It's a labor of love. And so
retail jail.
Yeah.
Retail jail.
So some people may come out of the Merc & Power and be like, ugh, it's not for me.
I'm good.
But guess what? No sweat off your back. You're not stuck owing a landlord 2 years worth of a lease.
It's a chance to move from theory to practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look at us. Look at how many different things we had to do to get it right.
Yeah.
And I want them to know you're not really going to get it.
Yeah.
The percentage of getting it right your first time is like 0.001.
And we're there to help them with those steps in getting it right. Are we perfect at it? Absolutely not.
Right.
But the cool thing, it would have been awesome if we had an opportunity like that back in the day. And I think it would be great for a lot of entrepreneurs to something to get your feet wet without having to go 100% full force and really develop your idea.
And the sweet spot for me is that it's dedicated to women, and not only women but Black women, and that, my love for Black women, and creating more space. I think, and I can open up the conversation a bit. Women in general, right? How do we create more space for women to have these experiences, particularly from a lens of business or entrepreneurship and ownership? And there isn't a lot of that. And it's because of all of the barriers that come with that too. But you all have created intentional space to help bridge that gap, which I think is extremely beautiful. And here we are now, Merc & Power and Community Fridge. What is the Community Fridge about?
Free food. We wanted to end the food insecurity. I mean, we're not going to end it, but we can sure put a dent on it. It actually was not my idea. It was two little girls, the Johnson girls. Their mom reached out to me and just said, like, hey, if you're able to make this happen, we'll keep it full. And darn if they didn't hold up their end of the deal, and I held up my end of the deal. So I made it happen, I think, within a week. We had it up and
rented a truck and went and picked up the fridge.
We rented a U-Haul, Michael and I, and went and grabbed it one Sunday from a dear friend of ours that donated it, and built a little my dad built a shelter for it. And even though our cop friend JC's like, what are you doing? Dude, this is a bad idea. And I'm like, just trust me. I mean, I think you feel those things in your heart, like it's gonna be okay. I mean, I told you the other night we installed cameras, and Michael can attest to this, I watched the cameras for probably 16 hours a day. I would come home and just watch the footage, because at first we were recording the stats. We needed to know how many people we were seeing. We needed to know kind of age and sex, because we were trying to get on a certain website to be recognized, and that happened. And so, and my trust too for it. I just in my head envisioned somebody just coming and bashing it with a bat. And also it's right beside our garage door at the store, our glass garage door. So I just felt like the anger, if there wasn't food there, and just what they would do to our store. And not a single thing. I think the worst thing that's happened is one of our cushions off of our chairs has been stolen and used for a pillow for a homeless person for a bed.
But it's been a very good thing, because definitely something we should have done a long time ago. I wish we had done it sooner, but COVID also played a big factor into that too, because from the Education Foundation, back the pack shot up cost-wise. People need food, and especially what's going on. So, I mean...
Because how many people are visiting the fridge?
150 a day now. And we thought we were doing...
150 a day.
Yeah, we thought we were doing great when it was 20 people a day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So now people are... It's really funny, to watch people drop off food because they're like, it's going to go bad. I'm like, I don't think you understand. That is not going to be here in 30 minutes. Yeah. I mean, the second it gets dropped off, food is gone. And it's a constant. And then we are always like, well, somebody else has already signed up, so we'll do another week. I'm like, no. We need you. I mean, we could use 20 people a day volunteering because we're inside the store and our employees, I mean, we get busy, especially this time of the year. We don't have time to take from back stock and refill the fridge. So we always need people that come in. That's what they do is they help us wipe it down and keep it clean and then restock it.
Yeah.
And
Which
then,
is awesome.
Yeah, and then all during the same time, we did the road mural, the No Room for Racism road mural, which that was a big deal. First of all, it was Rock Hill's first road mural. Second of all, there was some hate on both sides. And I can remember questioning, like, did we do the right thing?
Yeah.
Because it was a two-part, Merc and Power and the road mural were a two-part idea that were going to coincide together. I chose to do it on July 4th weekend. We closed the road. It was a very hush-hush thing because... first of all, I didn't want protesters there. That was my biggest issue. The second biggest part of it was COVID. You were there. It was a very small handful of people that I told about the project. There was some hate on, in the Black community because I didn't include them. But for me, it was for them, not something I wanted them to do. Like, I needed to say, we're here for you. And also, education was such a huge part of that for me. I wanted people to stop and be like, who are those faces? And I want to be able to tell the story of Friendship 9. So many people have no idea, especially a younger generation, what took place here just a short time ago. And it was so short when you look at the grand scheme of things, what took place at the counter.
Absolutely.
And who played a factor in that and everything. And I mean, John Lewis passed this year, but John Lewis was here so many years ago. I mean, there is a connection. There's a connection to all of it, and
our great.
We don't need to forget that. It's not. Is it a memorable part of history? Absolutely not. Is it something positive? But no, it's something that needs to be remembered.
But it's our history.
Yeah, and they need to be known. And
absolutely.
Between that now that the counter just opened up right where it took place, I mean, it's amazing that
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, I also got the heat because I didn't just flat out put Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter to me, and I might get flack for saying this, is going to be a fad. It's going to be, the saying Black Lives Matter is going to be one of those trending topics. I mean, you can already see, we're not talking about it anymore. I mean, I wear my Black Lives Matter bracelet every day, but we're not seeing it on the news like we used. The next big thing's going to happen, and it's just going to go down until something else happens. And it's going to be this constant. I think we needed the reminder and the education that there is no room for racism for all, first of all, here. Not just Black lives, but clearly for all, but it is geared towards that. But like I said, the biggest part of that for me was education. I needed people to understand why it's there and not to repeat history. We've got to move forward, and I wanted it to be a constant reminder of what took place. And, the very first week we did it, I remember sitting outside. I was so lucky, and Dr. Johnson had brought the books by, and it just happened. We had them in the store. We're sold out now, but we had them, and this little girl was like, "Mommy, who is that?" And the mom had no idea. She didn't know, first of all, that is our slogan in Rock Hill. I mean, how many people even knew that was our slogan that Doug Eccles had come up with so many years ago? And so just to be able to sit there and read that book to her and read the story, I mean, it might be 4 people I read that story to, but it was this cute little Black girl who had no idea. And I'm like, girl, you can do that. I mean, like, look at what they did for you. And then to see Mr. Williamson come, I mean, he comes so often to look at it. I think he's just so proud.
Yeah.
And we were at the counter the other night having a friends and family night, and he was sitting at the counter. And, that day gave it over to them, and dinner talk where you came and spoke, and just to see his smile. He's got the greatest smile, and I think he's proud to be like,
no, because
nothing.
Yeah, right.
It might have taken this many years,
right.
but I mean, there's always been some people for sure, but
still doing it because I mean, it's still an issue.
And it's not just us. I mean, there's so many groups and initiatives before this road mural that were, the Friendship 9, working with them, but. I think it's just, again, starting the conversation.
Absolutely.
Starting that conversation, and here's the whys. Yeah. Here's why it is such a big deal for us here.
And providing an opportunity for people to get plugged in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's extremely important. And speaking to history, you all are raising 3 girls, right, who are doing essentially this work with you. Mm-hmm. They're working at the shop, throwing things to the dumpster. At the march.
That's my job.
Right. When you're not there, right? When you're doing other things, right? But they're part of this journey with you. Mm-hmm. Mom, what does that mean for you? To have your 3 daughters. What are the ages we have?
Everybody just had birthdays. So we have 14, 11, and 9. 9. 8.
Is it 8 or 9?
8.
8.
You like that?
Real moment there. Real moment. I'm
like, I don't know. Birth dates. Are you gonna give me the years?
But what does that mean for you?
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth because they hate it in the moment. Sometimes Lola, our oldest, she's 14. She's officially there. I think she's ready to do the work. And honestly, to a fault at times, she's little me, and I'm just like, calm down, stop it, rein that in, let's pull that focus. It reminds me of the little me, but she's well ahead of where I was at that age. But it's reining in and finding what is going to be her passion, and then Ella and Maisie, they're just kind of still along for the ride, and you just hope that you're planting those seeds
for sure.
That when they are of age, they'll remember. I mean, but it's become a lifestyle for us, and they've gotten so used to so many people in their home, their families. I mean, we have uncles and aunts all over the board that aren't real uncles and aunts, but our campaign friends have become their friends, just our regular friends in life, our activist friends. And what warms my heart is when they reach out, like even just yesterday, Erin that works for me was doing some work for Project Femme, which is their job is to get feminine hygiene products in the hands of women who can't afford them, homeless women, whatnot, and pregnancy tests and things like that. So Lola went with her to pass out stuff. So, just even doing those little things, it's reining in her passion. And it warms my heart. And I definitely don't think they'll be able to escape this lifestyle if my parents were like that, there's no way. I mean, I've seen that trajectory for so many other families now working in it so much that they're going to come out and be public servants of some sort. And that's what I hope that they will be. I hope they'll remember these times. I mean, it's a wild ride that they've had to be along on. And I do have a lot of guilt because I'm not able to be here as much as I want to be.
We're having more of a normal, relaxed.
And we have a lot of frozen pizzas. And so, that sit-down family meal thing it's usually on the go or whatnot. So there's guilt there, but I just keep hoping that the good will outweigh.
For sure.
They'll have good memories of all of this.
And you're fostering children who will, in some way, shape, or form, probably do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
I think about me, how much I'm like on the go. My parents did the same.
Yeah.
They did the same. So when you talk about that guilt, there's something about watching your parents be that person, to be that light in the community.
Yeah.
That gives you hope.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing okay.
Thanks.
For
the first time today, or not today, this year, Lola was in class, and I can remember her teacher. He says, "All right, now Google Friendship 9." And then there's my picture, and Lola's like, "Mom, our lesson's on you today." But I was like, "What?" And I walked over and looked, and of course they're on Zoom class, and I looked, and they were like, And then they just were like, well, can you speak since you're here? I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like, that's great, Mom. And then I think that was that moment Lola was like, really, Mom?
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
But she was so embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think at the bottom line, there's a little bit of proud moment.
It
Like,
is.
that's my, in fact, I heard her be like, that's my mom.
That's my mom. I can see it.
She totally did.
I love that.
It was
I love
cool.
that. But all of that is what you're doing and what you're fostering through the Mercantile. And I don't know if you two have enough moments. I know you two don't have enough moments to stop and process how much of a light you two are in the community.
Thanks.
Like, I need you to hear that and process it.
Thank you.
Right? Because we don't have enough time to stop and process what we do because we're busy doing. Right? And one of my favorite quotes, our world is everything it is because of those who come before us, those who march alongside us, and those we inspire to do the same in the future. And I think you all are doing that cross-generationally. You're inspiring older people to show up with more action, with their wisdom. You're inspiring those who march alongside you to continue to do this work. And then your children and others, you're inspiring them to do the same as well. So, final questions here. What is the legacy of the Kellys? What is your aspirational legacy for you as a family, as a couple, as a unit?
We're gonna set this dumpster on fire.
That would be great.
To just build a community of love and kindness for all. I hope that when I die, that the whole community comes out and just has the biggest celebration and just can feel my energy around it and Michael's energy, because none of this would happen without Michael. He is absolutely the backbone of everything. I mean, even tonight, he's going to have to fill in for me where I can't be somewhere and pass out toys to kids in need. And, but I think just to work hard, I want people to know that, work hard, make things happen.
Yeah.
You have to. There's no walk in the park. And don't just put your name on things just to do it. And don't commit to things if you're not going to fulfill that. That's something you learn. You've probably done a lot of that too and had that experience, is that there are a lot of people in the community who do truly want to try, but maybe they don't have the time, or they think they don't have the time. And then you commit and you're really letting other people down, and you can give almost a bad look on it, or you make it an easy out for other people too. Like, none of this work is easy, but I just want people to press forward because it is more important. When you look at the grand scheme of things, it is our most important. Whether the excuse is kids or this or that, like, you're ultimately, it's going to impact your kids, and that's what I have to keep reminding myself, is we're creating a community and a future for our children. So that's when I get those guilty feelings. I'm like, all right, in the grand scheme of it, I'm doing it for them, and you're doing it for everybody's kids and everybody's future. So that would probably be the biggest legacy I would hope to leave, is that it's hard work, but it is rewarding, and sign up for it. Just do it. It feels so good. It feels so good. And have the tough conversations, dadgummit. I'm so sick. We were raised in a generation, well, you were a little bit younger and Michael's a little older, but we were raised in a generation where you didn't talk about certain things. They got brushed under the rug. And, you wouldn't talk about wages. You wouldn't talk about sexual orientations with other people. You wouldn't talk about careers, religion. And I think our brains are wired to just, not feel comfortable to have that conversation. But it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay on Facebook. It's not okay where people can say hateful things and get up in you, and because they just are behind a computer and don't have to talk face to face. But having that face-to-face conversation is okay. And it took me a long time to learn to just be an open book. I mean, I've had some crazy few years with just family circumstances, and that if you were to walk up to me on the street and ask me, you're getting the real raw story. And my family's like, can you please not tell these stories? But my hope is that every time I've ever talked to somebody about a really hard issue, it's always come back that they are there too. or they know somebody that's there too, and my God, you just took this huge weight off of their shoulders to be able to have that conversation. And while it's hard and you don't want to talk about it, we are so much more alike in the world than we are different.
That's good.
And
That's good.
you'll never know if you don't have that conversation.
Michael.
Well, my big thing with the store and everything that we've done, and if I was leaving a legacy, I mean, to be just frank about it, is just to give a damn, just to care about people, just to care in general, like for everything. It's your community, it's the people you live with, it's what you eat, what you work, everything, all of it. And life's too short. And we've seen that. We've seen that now with COVID, especially with the number of cases of people that we've lost. It's been horrendous. And then we've also seen this year, which seems like it adds extra fuel to the fire. But then there's other loved ones that we've lost that weren't affected by COVID, but part of that, and it really stings more this year than it has before. And I mean, that should be a clear reminder. We're not invincible. We can't do it all and take it all, but we should at least try.
Yeah.
And just be decent to people. Again, life's too short. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. Be good to people. That's all you got to do.
That's good. What can we expect from the Mercantile? What's to come?
So much.
What can we put our brain on right now for what's to come for the
It's
Mercantile?
insane. We both have
The next 2
huge
weeks
ideas. The
are
next
going to
two-
be, well, as you know, we flip the Mercantile like 4 times a year.
4 times a week. Really.
Truthfully.
If I be honest.
But we do a really big flip where we make the store look like a completely different store 4 times a year. And so January will be our big flip. And in it are going to come lots of changes. In fact, as a team with our staff, we'll be deciding what our word of the year is. I have what I want it to be, but we're a team. And so we'll be putting that on the whiteboard in our team meeting on the 30th. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
First week in January is going to be a fun week for the Mercantile.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. And we're grateful to have y'all a part of this Rock Hill community. Rock Hill is better because Brittany and Michael Kelly are here. So thank y'all for your work every day. Thank you for the Mercantile and everything you did before that to make it what it is today. So thank y'all. I'm grateful to do this opportunity to know you all and to see where we go from here and where we grow from here and where the business goes. So thank y'all.
Thank you, my
Thanks,
love.
man.